ladies and gentlemen. Yes, that was a great example from theory to practice to show that always knowing and doing should come together. And therefore, I would like to focus now a little bit on the knowing side, on the agricultural research that we need to bring not just having knowing, but bringing knowing and doing together, and what research itself can do and should do to achieve that. Just before the World Food Price crisis in 2007, the German Federal Ministry for Economic Cooperation and Development, BMZ, was the first amongst the CGIAR donors to invest specifically in agricultural research on climate change. At that time, this was still completely new territory to us that we had to explore. And look where we are now, 10 years later. Still a lot to do, but it is impressive where we are. With CCAFs, the CGIAR program, we have a strong cross-cutting, global integrating research program that addresses the urgent need for more and better evidence on the impacts of climate change in agriculture. Through our partnerships and collaborations, we have contributed to making agriculture visible in the climate change debate and the other way around. So bringing these spheres, agriculture and climate change together. And most importantly, we have made progress on the ground for and with millions of smallholders who are most affected by climate change impact. Yes, we have, as I said, still a long way to go. Agriculture is finally on the agenda of climate change negotiations, but not yet at its very core. But at least I see from COP to COP we make progress. This is good. With the Paris Agreement and the 2030 Agenda, we have made landmark achievements and crucial commitments, but are still struggling to bring them to life and speed up their implementation. Many joint efforts are ongoing to adapt our agro-food systems to climate change and mitigate their greenhouse gas emissions, as we have seen nicely before, but are still lagging compared to other sectors. We have been pushed out for far too long from this debate, and now we have to come up with that. Yeah. We have to increase total agricultural production substantially and sustainably to accommodate the rising demand for food. To tackle this formidable task under the increasingly challenging conditions, a transformative change towards a climate-smart agriculture is called for. Climate-smart agriculture with these various aspects we have seen on adaptation, mitigation, and production or productivity. Sustainably increasing agricultural production, accelerating adaptation of the agricultural sector, and where possible, and now we have seen it is possible, mitigation of greenhouse gas emissions to ensure food security and nutrition. Germany aims therefore to mainstream adaptation and mitigation measures within development cooperation and strengthen the discourse on agriculture in climate change. International agricultural research for development at the CGIAR and beyond is a key partner of and in these efforts. Research provides decision makers with better evidence on the impacts of climate change on agro-food systems to guide effectively policy programs and investments. And, likewise important, research continuously is putting the spotlight on the agricultural sector within the climate change discourse. So the importance of research goes far beyond creating more and better knowledge. That remains, of course, a prominent sphere, but this political aspect, this transformative power research can have and should have, is as important as the other aspect. To operationalize and implement the NDCs, data on actual greenhouse gas emissions and aerosols specific to each country and sector are indispensable, but are still limited, especially for the African continent. Therefore, research done, for instance, at IRRI's Mazingira Center in Nairobi, focusing on understanding and managing the environmental footprint of African livestock system without hampering productivity, is so relevant and timely. Just to take that as one example. A lot more needs to be done, and we do a lot more. However, all our efforts are in vain if we do not have new solutions to the persistent and new challenges that smallholder farmers in developing countries face. We need the sound, groundbreaking, and freely available public goods produced by agricultural research more than ever. This includes new technologies, management practices, and high-performance varieties adapted to extreme weather conditions, pests, and diseases. From the drought-tolerant bean varieties developed at SIAD to IRRI's solar-based drying technologies and the water-efficient irrigation systems of IMWE. Germany is a firm and long-standing supporter of international agricultural research for development since its very beginning. This includes the support of international gene banks that safeguard agro-biodiversity. But we need to do more and deliver tangible and widespread impacts on the ground for the many. Therefore, we call for more, not less, commitment to the publicly funded international agricultural research system. At the same time, research and implementations partners need to foster and forge more and closer partnerships. Only this way we can ensure that research products continue to make its way to large numbers of farmers in developing countries. With the One World No Hunger initiative of BMZ, launched in 2014, BMZ has invested 1.5 billion euros per year in food, agriculture, and rural development. The CGIAR centers, together with the World Vegetable Center and ECP, work hand in hand with many of our new created 13 green innovation centers for the agriculture and food sector that were set up by the One World No Hunger initiative. Against the backdrop of climate change, still much more needs to be done. In this light, we highly appreciate CCAF's efforts and dedication to unite us here today in the joint effort of promoting investments for climate action in agriculture. Because, ladies and gentlemen, we urgently need an inclusive, climate-smart development of smallholder agriculture in developing countries. Thank you very much.